Eagle 95.1, WUPN, Paradise, Sault Ste. Marie.
It's time for The Game. Eagle 95.1 proudly brings you The Game, the Twin Sault's only regional and national sports show. For the next hour, we'll get an in-depth look at sports in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and Algoma region. The Game on Eagle 95.1.
Sports Show would like to thank an additional home to the Game Sports Show, Canadian franchise Boston Pizza. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, located on 601 Great Northern Road, Sault Ste. Marie. Come in and join Boston Pizza for its numerous specials that are offered. After 9 p.m. daily, come in to Boston Pizza for $9 schooners, $4 rail drinks, and delicious food. Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, you're among friends.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Game Sports Show. Here live at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. It's yours truly, David McCaig, a.k.a. Kegger, and Mr. Electric Avenue, here live alongside my usual co-hosts, Justin Hykel and Dane Hancherow. Justin?
How's it going?
How you doing?
Living the dream, buddy.
We are living the dream. Dane?
How's it going, Dave?
Living the dream, my friend. We're here live at Boston Pizza for our second show of 2018, and we had quite the first show. May I say we had a lot of views, a lot of positive reaction, and very excited that Boston Pizza is a part of the Game Sports Show. And I got to give a special shout out to our additional sponsors as well, because guess what? We have a lot of sponsors.
We do have
several sponsors. Sports Center Bar and Grill. We have Pingator Cleaners, The Wicked Sister. We have Discover the Canvas, The Salon, the Superior Pro Shop, and North Shore Sports and Auto being a part of the Game Sports Show. And hey, you can log into our website right now, www.thegamesportshow.com, to look at the previous episode that we had here live at Boston Pizza. The website is still under construction. It will be complete by the end of next week is our goal, or by the 19th of January is when we hope to have everything all launched and ready. And tonight, for here at Boston Pizza, it's just going to be myself, Justin, and Dane. We plan to have some very special guests on next week. And don't forget that the Game Sports Show comes back live on 95.1 Monday. That's 95.1 at 6 p.m. live at the Wicked Sister. Be myself, Scott Nason, EJ Russell, and Butch Davis. Then we'll also be back at Sports Center next Wednesday. We'll be doing the In the Pocket segment, because it's quite the time to be talking about In the Pocket as it's football season, and we'll be talking about other sports as well. Then, of course, we're here live at Boston Pizza every Thursday talking all local and professional hockey. And then in the summer, still hockey, but we're also going to be talking about baseball as well. And fellas, bear with me. As you both know, I kind of lost my voice for like the past week. Probably a little bit of a relief to some other of my friends out there who hear me talk way too much. But hey, nope. And it's also still allowing me to still do the show, though, as I'm feeling a little bit better today, though. But hey, the weather outside, it's not as cold. It's supposed to be colder this weekend. Bundle up, because you don't want to catch the flu.
Colder this weekend. It was like +5. It's -2 outside right now.
It's going to be -13 this weekend.
Yeah, my driveway is going to be Alaska. Like that's...
The driveways are quite deep right now. And fellas, on today's agenda on the show, we have, well, we're going to talk hockey, like I said. We're going to be talking about a little bit of an icebreaker conversation. I want to start every show with an icebreaker kind of conversation. And this one I really like, and I'm excited to talk about it, but we're going to get to that in a second. We have Sioux Thunderbirds, Sioux Eagles, Blind River Beavers talk, a little bit of NOJHL talk in there. We're going to have our break. When we come back, we'll talk all things Greyhounds, about their trade, about the game last night that Dane and I attended. And then when we can take another break, we're going to be talking about the Olympics. The rosters were announced for Team Canada, and obviously USA named their roster earlier last week. And then we're going to take our last break before concluding the show, where we're going to talk about NHL All-Star rosters. We're going to be talking about an NHL team called the Toronto Maple Leafs that we like talking about, and our multiple choice segment to conclude the show. We plan on being here tonight until about 9:30 or so, as the Nos Icemen, my men's league team, is on the ice at 10 o'clock. So we're not starting at our usual time. We usually come here at 9 p.m. at Boston Pizza, but tonight we're here at 8:30. And when you come into Boston Pizza at 9 o'clock weekdays, especially when we're here, you come in, you got half-price apps, you got $4 bar rails, you got some good drink specials that are going to be incorporated. So make sure you come on by to Boston Pizza. And next week, we are going to have a trivia starting for when you get gift certificates from Boston Pizza, maybe from the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, maybe from other possible places in terms of entering a trivia right on following our Facebook page and listening to our show. You can easily answer some questions just by sending us a message or calling in, and you could win that respective prize. But fellas, let's get started with the icebreaker conversation. I want to start with this opposed to going to the NOJHL talk. So we got a couple minutes here. We got usually about 12 to 15 minutes on our introduction. So let's talk about EA Sports NHL 18. That's going to be our icebreaker conversation for tonight. And you know what? Dane, you and I have the best rivalry in the history of NHL 18. I do hold the overall record, but I will say I am not an NHL fan in terms of NHL 18. I'm an EA Sports fanatic all the way up until NHL 12. I've bought in every game, though, up until last year. Ever since NHL 95 on Sega, I've bought in every game since then.
You learned it on Sega and not Super Nintendo. That's the issue. You were brought up wrong.
Sega Genesis along with Sonic the Hedgehog. But at the end of the day, NHL 18, there's been a lot of scrutiny against NHL 18 and EA Sports in general. That's why I'll say EA Sports had Battlefront this year that, let's just say, did not turn out as much as they and as good as they want it to be.
Don't even get me started on this. This is like 100% my wheelhouse.
This is why I'm going to go to you last, though, to finish off the topic. Dane, I'm going to go to you here first. You're an NHL buyer. I believe you actually have NHL 18.
I do not have NHL 18, and it says a lot when my boy Connor McDavid's on the front cover, and I still don't want to buy the game. Since like about 2014, 2015, it's like you're buying the same game with, little to no new features involved. I know Be a Pro is, been very thirsty for a new revamp of that game mode, and really the only new feature on 2018 compared to 2017 is the 3-on-3, which, don't get me wrong, is very fun, but other than that, everything's pretty much the same. They made the poke checking a lot easier, which it was already overzealous in 2017. So now you can't cross the blue line without losing the puck. So yeah, definitely not a fan. Hopefully EA Sports gets their act together and start making some better games here.
They absolutely need to, Dane. I couldn't agree more. And as of being a big fan, Justin, before I go to you, I got to tell you, I bought every game, like I told you, till this year. I am officially boycotting buying NHL 18 EA Sports because of the changes that they do not make. It needs to be revamped. I like looking at NBA 2K18, looking at that for an example. Madden. The EA Sports with Madden tried that long shot story. It wasn't a great story, but it was still a good try. I think in NHL, you could do this for Be a Pro. You can do this for something else. You can do this for a lot of other things in EA Sports franchise mode. They did change a little bit in franchise mode. I'm a big fan of franchise opposed to Be a Pro mode, believe it or not. I love doing the GM side of things. But EA Sports NHL really has to get their act together, or I think they're going to lose fans, perhaps. I'm one of them. I know a lot of my friends have already losing interest, Dane being one. And, before I go to you, Dane's tapping my shoulder. There's one comment he wants to add. What do you got?
The only thing I want to say is that EA Sports doesn't really have too many competitors, especially when it comes to NHL. I don't know if 2K17 is a thing for NHL anymore. So, they can make the same game every year, and it's pretty much your only option. So,
yeah, it is. And it's basically the only game that anyone will buy. But, Justin, I'm going to pass this over to you. You want your opinion on if it's a good game or not, if you would buy it, continuing going forward, or if you're pleased about this year. All the above when it comes to NHL 18 EA Sports.
Well, first off, I didn't buy it. Everyone knows I have an affiliation with a video game retailer, but I didn't buy the game. I didn't buy Madden this year. I didn't buy Madden last year. I didn't buy NHL last year. I haven't bought them since probably 15, or maybe the first year on this generation of consoles. But the games, all it is every year is an updated roster. Why couldn't I just pay $20 to get a download? You know what I mean? Instead of having to revamp this thing every year after year after year. And the only focus on the games is on these Ultimate Team, where you have to spend $6 million to play the game. Like, you spend $80 on a game, and this is these things you see on the internet where these parents are complaining their kids spent $1,000 on their credit card buying imaginary internet hockey cards. Like, they're not even real hockey cards. They're internet hockey cards. But I think what has to happen is these professional leagues have to go back out there and say, like, put a tender out for the contract to have the rights to make those games. Like, NBA allows EA and 2K to make an NBA game. And the 2K game it's the best sports game on the market, and I don't like basketball games. Like, I watch a lot of college basketball, but I don't like professional basketball. I couldn't, aside from like big names, I couldn't tell you who they are. Yeah. But the last good, NHL game was a 2K game. The last good football game was a 2K game.
Yep.
And the last 2K football game in 2005 was the first time where you saw anything like a Be a Pro mode. Yeah. And then all of a sudden 2K can't make football games anymore, and EA does a Be a Pro mode. So I just think there needs to be some competition out there. That's my opinion.
I agree. And one sports game that I got to give a shout out to that does it right is definitely MLB The Show. That's one video game that does it right. Definitely probably next to NBA 2K, the best sports game. I love NBA 2K in terms of their story modes. They've had Michael B. Jordan in it. They've had Spike Lee do one. I'm forgetting the actor top of my head right now, but they've had good stories. I think that's the way the video games are going. And I think NHL is going to try to implicate that with their council for the EA Sports NHL 19, or do as you said, maybe pay back to the fans who have done so much for you, and maybe just do a $20 update then. If you're not going to change the game, just do a $20 update, an extra pass to get that NHL 19 extra features, or if you're going to change the game, go ahead and do it.
Well, I'd pay, you know what I mean? I'd pay $150 and have a couple-year subscription. You know what I mean? Just do a subscription service, like your Xbox Live or PlayStation membership, and then you just have NHL for that many years. Is there going to be a chance where EA Sports gets knocked over, another sports company comes on in, maybe beats them with the NHL? Look at MLB The Show. It's San Diego Studios that does it. It's an American-based company that just does it. They have the exclusive rights. That's the thing. Having the exclusive rights to be able to do it, that's where you get stuck.
And EA has been doing it since 95. So I can remember 95, probably a bit before that. Actually, they've had a bit more than that. So we're going to move on from that topic. Good icebreaker conversation to start. I'd like to hear the fans' feedback in terms of the NHL. EA Sports, you're my bad books. We're talking video games, but still affiliated to sports. Moving on, guys, we're going to jump into the NOJHL. We're going to talk about, the Sault Thunderbirds. We're going to talk about the Blind River Beavers and the Soo Eagles quickly. We're going to talk about how the Sault Thunderbirds, Blind River, Rayside, and the Soo Eagles have clinched a playoff spot for sure in the Western Division. And also in the East, only one team has clinched a playoff berth. It's Powassan Voodoo's, as Cochrane, Crunch, Kirkland Lake are probably not too far behind, especially Cochrane, in terms of catching a playoff berth. Now, with the NOJHL, very tight race in the West, as we've said with Scott Nason on the debut show last week. The Thunderbirds, are 5 games ahead of the Blind River Beavers, who have 50 points. And the Rayside is in third place, 5 points behind Blind River, but has 6 games to catch up to. Definitely seems like the Sault Thunderbirds are going to be the team that's going to be pulling away with first in the Western Division. Blind River and Rayside will probably be definitely battling for that second spot. Even the Soo Eagles, making a good push up there. Look at these records. Sault Thunderbirds 25-8-2, Blind River Beavers 24-15-2, Rayside 21-11-2 and 1. Soo Eagles 21-13. Those are the top 4 teams, all have 20 wins. And like I said last week in the East, 2 teams that are in the top only have 20 wins. And right now, the Sault Thunderbirds are behind Powassan, but Powassan's playing teams that aren't as deep that the Sault Thunderbirds play. It definitely seems like the Sault Thunderbirds are a favorite going in, and it's Justin, I'm going to get you just a comment quick. The Thunderbirds and Greyhounds doing well. Pretty good for Sault Ste. Marie hockey.
It's a real hot stove right now for local hockey. I mean, it's nice to see people finally getting into it again. And the parking lot was real full down at the SR Center last night. Station Mall parking lot was rammed.
It was really packed, Dane. We were at that game with the Soo Greyhounds. We're going to talk about that after our break here that we're going to take momentarily. But the Sault Thunderbirds are a team that made a trade earlier last week, trading away their captain. And they made some more moves. They have acquired Spencer Van Diem, And they also have acquired defenseman Braden King. They made a couple moves bringing in a forward and a defenseman. Van Diem, who actually spent the 2016-17 season with the T1 U Under 18 Ohio Blue Jackets, scored 5 times and set up 11 through 32 games and 16 penalty minutes. He also led the Blue Jackets in postseason goals with 3 and finished off with 4 points through 4 playoff games. Here's a guy that's 6'1", 180 pounds, pretty decent size. He's a veteran, 98 birth year. And the Thunderbirds kind of making a little move, bringing in this forward. We've always been on the show cautious being on how teams bring in forwards to change the chemistry of what it's doing. But we know that worked out for the Hounds last night, bringing in Radish. So it seems like with the signing of Van Diem and moving out their captain, they had these trades away and they had to sacrifice to bring in these 2 players in King and Van Diem. And it seems like the Thunderbirds have a good, well-rounded roster going into the postseason. It definitely seems like the Thunderbirds are favorites to win yet again this year. But don't count out the Blind River Beavers. I know the Blind River Beavers area quite well, and when they pack that barn with that good team, let me tell you, the boys will get some good momentum coming from there. And the Sioux Eagles, they did some things, and with the Sioux Eagles, there's a team that is well coached with Jim Cappy, who is right up in the race as well, and has a hard-working team, a very hard-working team. That is the way Jim Cappy coaches, and let me tell you, it's going to be a tight finish coming on down to the finish line going into the playoffs. And that's the NOJHL quick update in terms of the standings and what the local teams are doing. Myself, Justin, and Dane are going to take a quick break and hear back from our sponsors. We're going to come back, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. And they're so hot right now. We'll be right back after these messages.
The Mr. Electric Avenue segment brought to you by Sports Center Bar and Grill. Sports Center Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street, West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. You can't miss Sports Center's famous Monday, Wednesday, 60-cent wing nights. Sports Center Bar and Grill, great atmosphere, great food, great cold beverages available, and great service. The home to the Mr. Electric Avenue segment. Sports Center Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
And welcome back to the Game Sports Show. Yours truly, David McCaig here, alongside Justin Hykel Dane Hancherow, live here at Sault Ste. Marie's Boston Pizza. And Dane, myself, and Hykel are enjoying a delicious pizza, the spicy pierogi pizza, along going down with some Molson products, some Rickard's Red to go down with this pizza. Oh, delicious pizza here, always at Boston Pizza. Got to come on down here and enjoy some of the pizza and get along with the great staff here, especially with Mitch Wilson, who has been great for us thus far this evening. And fellas, we started off the show with an icebreaker talk. We talked a little bit about the NOJHL. Now we're going to talk about another local team, a team that is quite talked about locally right now, the best team. You may have heard of them. Some people may have heard of this team in Sault Ste. Marie. They're called the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. The Soo Greyhounds, who played last night, Dane and I are going to get to the game recap in a little bit. Pun intended, the game recap. Little shot for the show there. But they made a trade. A big trade. You might have heard of this trade. He played last night and got 2 goals. And that new defenseman they got, a 5th-round pick of the Detroit Red Wings, is an absolute force on the back end. Radish and Sambrook. Radish and Boris Kachuk, who we hope to have on the show next week or the following week. Little spoiler alert to who we have a special guest coming on. But the Hounds made a trade, and they traded a lot of draft picks. Couple draft picks. And Justin, I'm going to let you talk first about this trade. Last week it was myself, you, Dane, and Scotty here in the back corner. And we were talking about how this trade was coming to fruition and how it came through, and how the name bar was apparently made and all set for Radish, and all that is obviously accurate. And Dane, you and I were right there last night, right pretty much up near the glass, and we saw Radish in action in Sandbrook, and it looks like it's going to pay off for the Hounds. They did give up a lot, but if you look at all the other OHL trades that we kind of going to go to a little bit later on, a lot of picks were moved in the future. 2019, 2022, 2025. I even think there's a 2026 trade thrown in there somewhere down the road. For the Hounds, they traded 9 picks for Radish and Sandbrook. But that's the price you pay for a player of this caliber to go all the way to hopefully win the Memorial Cup. Justin, your thoughts on the trade?
I'm just trying to find the list of picks here because I know it was 9, wasn't it?
9 draft picks.
It was 9 draft picks. I mean, it's kind of nice to add another piece from our recent legal netting gold medal winning World Junior team, bring it into that lineup. If we're having trouble selling tickets to fill that barn, they're not going to fill it, or not going to have trouble anymore. Where was that? It was on the 6th, right? Yeah. All right, here we are. Yeah, so Taylor Radish and Sam Brook. And we sent over Hayden Fowler, 2018 third, a 2018 sixth, a 2019 second, which is Flint's, Guelph second in 2020, our second in 2021, a sixth in 2021, a second in 2022, London second in 2023, and our third in 2023. That's a lot of top end picks the next couple of years. So I'd have to say it's safe to say that the Hounds are probably going all in right now.
And you know what? The big thing is, it was actually a quite busy deadline. A lot of teams made moves. Hamilton was quite aggressive, but I think the Hounds got the best player available. And Dane, I'm going to let you attest to this trade.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Taylor Radish was probably the best available player in the OHL. The trade makes a lot of sense. Kachuk and Radish played with each other, on the World Junior team there. They won gold. That was everybody was hearing the rumor before the World Juniors even started. So easy transition for Radish to come over here. Knowing Connor Timmins and Boris Kachuk there, got to play with them over in Buffalo. So. And clearly last night, 2 goals on the top line with Frost and Kachuk, looked really good there. So, yeah, I think it's a really good fit for the team. And like Hykel was saying, yeah, the Greyhounds are definitely all in. 9 draft picks for one guy. That's pretty much sending a message to the league that, we're here to win it all. So, and if you look at the standings, they got like 15, 20 points, I don't know, on the next team in the OHL right now. So, we've had the last couple years, we've been very close to going to the Memorial Cup, or at least the OHL finals, but I really, truly do think this is a team to go all the way to the Memorial Cup, and I think they're going to make the Sioux proud this year.
I couldn't agree more with you there, Dane, and, we watched them last night with Radish and Kachuk and Frost out there. God, what a filthy line. Absolutely a filthy line out there. And the way they had the puck movement out there and the chemistry, and Radish getting 2 goals, I thought he was going to get a hat trick on the empty netter. We all thought that was going to happen, but to no avail with that. But definitely a very impactful debut for Radish, of course. And in the Western Conference team, the Hounds are 35-3-2. They have 73 points. They're 21 points ahead of the second place. Well, Kitchener Rangers. Well, if you want to count Sarnia, I should definitely not forget Sarnia. They have 56 points. So actually 17 points ahead of the next behind in total points.
If you put it in perspective, they have 73 points of available 82. So, only 9 points they've missed out on this whole season, halfway through the season, more than halfway through the season. So, yeah.
And that's big.
Their win percentage is actually better than some goalies, like win percentage.
Or save percentage.
Save percentage, sorry, yeah. You know what I was going with there. I just saw that number and I was shocked.
You know what kind of surprised me, and if you can correct me if I'm wrong with this, 187 goals for. It actually almost seems like it's a little bit low for a team that is as high as this. Of sorts, but that's why you bring in someone like Radish, because you want to try to get those extra more goals.
They played a lot of close games. There's a lot of 3-2 games, a lot of 4-3 games. So, I don't think it's low considering the roster.
It's definitely something that I thought stood out, but at the end of the day, you're still in first place and you're finding ways to win. Their goaltending's been obviously pretty good as well. But Dame, we're going to jump into the game. They had a big win last night, 3-1 over Saginaw. Not in terms of big of scoring, but to come back from the break. Kachuk and Radish coming back from the World Juniors, coming down to the OHL level, I like to call it, because I think it's a bit more faster pace at the World Junior level, just a bit more. They're back here in Sault Ste. Marie, and it was packed last night. The SR Center was packed. It was good to see a full arena last night, something that we've talked about a lot on the show, getting out to support the team locally instead of watching on your rear ends on Shaw TV. No offense to Shaw. That's no Shaw. This is when you see a good local team like this, you got to get out there to support them. End of the day, they were there yesterday with a full house. Radish got 2 goals. The game was quite sloppy, though, in terms of what we expected against who they were playing. But Saginaw wasn't that bad of a team, it didn't look like. Dan, I'll get your thoughts on how the game was. then I'll kind of close it out. And Justin, I know you weren't at the game yesterday. I know you saw it from the outside looking in more so. But the Hounds, Radish, 2 goals. Great debut. Dane?
Yeah, the game was very fast-paced. I found the first period, maybe first half of the game, a little bit of sloppy. A lot of turnovers in the neutral zone. But at the end of the day, I thought the Hounds goalie played unreal. Really played, I think he was the first or second star, him and Radish there, and very well-deserved. But, packed house last night. The fans were into it. Great atmosphere at the game. Hounds are unbeaten in regulation in their last 26, I believe, 26, 27. So, yeah, keep it going all the way down the stretch and into the playoffs.
Yeah, we definitely expect maybe they won't lose a game the rest of the year. Dare I say that? But we'll knock on wood for sure, as Justin just said. But you know what? Definitely a good thing going forward for the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds is keep that arena packed. Right, Justin, I'll go to you for this because, like I said, no, you couldn't make it with us to the game. We know we'll be going to a lot more this year. So, good to see that place packed, finally. But one thing I kind of want to say, and you can judge this, it wasn't as loud as I remember it ever being like it was in the Gardens. I don't know if that's fair to say, and now I'm taking the fans and I'm judging them in another way now. It's like I'm trying to find some, but I promise I'm not. It seems like the loudness and excitement almost feels like an Air Canada Center feeling. But that really represents our media, because that's how the Soo is really like a Toronto market, but because we have expectations. But I want to see that excitement that it used to be there with the Gardens. I want to see, like when I was a kid, you couldn't hear yourself talk or think in the Gardens. Now last night, I was able to hear myself talk, think, and drink a beer if I wanted to. They're good to see a crowd turn out, but now it's time to get loud. But Justin, your comments on a loud building and finally selling out a building.
Well, I mean, after playing in the World Juniors, those kids are probably excited to come back to a semi-full arena. That's like, aside from the medal round games, those World Junior games were pretty empty too. I mean, but back to like locally here, man, you got to come out and support this team. Those kids are playing their hearts out. Like, what is it? They lost 3 games. Like, is it 3 losses all year so far? Like 3 regulation whatever. Like, that's crazy. Why that rink isn't filled every night is nonsense. Like, you shouldn't be able to think when you're in there.
No.
Like, other teams should, like, it should be like the New England Patriots syndrome when other teams come in there. Like, whether you're on top of your game or not, the other teams, you're already in their head, but when they come in the rink, like, that's the kind of place we need to be, especially going into the playoffs. Like, that place has to be rammed every night. Like, there has to be people, like, yeah.
It needs to be absolutely packed at the end of the day. Now get your asses. There it is. To those seats. That's the one. Get out to the seats. Support this team. My God. I know it's not, Jeff Carter, Wayne Simmons, Wayne Gretzky. I wasn't born then, but these are still good hockey players. Kachuk and Radish are the future. These are good guys. Good hockey team. Very good team.
Just because you don't think they're big names right now doesn't mean they're not going to be big names. And don't think that, once those guys become big time,
especially Radish and Tampa right now, they look pretty good there.
They're gonna remember this town if you support them. That's
Look at Trevor Daley, prime example about what happens when he wins the Stanley Cup. Where does he come? Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. That's where Trevor Daley comes when he wins the cup, and he has a house here in Sault Ste. Marie as well. When he signed with Detroit, guess where his interview was? Sault Ste. Marie, and why? Because of the impact the Hounds and the Billett family also had on him as well. But guys, we're going to take a quick break here, take a sip on our Molson products, another bite. Wow, dipe. What's dipe?
I don't know, that's not a word, Dave.
That's not a word. A bite into our spicy pieroga pizza. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the Olympics. Why? Because we gotta.
It's a thing.
It is a thing. Canada named their roster today. We're going to talk about that and talk about other Olympic news as well. You're going to hear from our sponsors. When we come back, Dane, myself, and Justin will be talking the Olympics.
The Mr. Electric Avenue segment would also like to thank its additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, located on 30 Calboogie Road in Echo Bay, Ontario. Ran and operated by Ryan Jordan Roquetta. North Shore Sports and Auto, meet all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Would also like to thank the Salon, located on 587 Second Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. The Salon, making the Soo beautiful, one haircut at a time. Would also like to thank the Superior Pro Shop, located in the Superior Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. For over 40 years, the Superior Pro Shop meeting all of your skate sharpening, ski repairs, and hockey needs.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McCaig, alongside Justin Hykel Dane Hancherow. Dane on my left, Justin on my right. In front of me, the great staff of Boston Pizza and people at Boston Pizza as well. And guys, we just got back from a break after enjoying some more pizza and some Molson products. We were talking about the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, and I did say in there, little spoiler, that we're hoping to have them on as guests within the next week or two. We're still in discussion about getting all the details worked out there in terms of that, and I'd like to thank Nick with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds for getting a letter and everything forwarded for us as well. Very excited to get all this arranged and have some guests from the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds team, a very, let's say, a high-end talented team, come on the show, some of their players and some of their staff going into the long playoff run that we certainly expect. But guys, we're going to talk about something else now. We're going to talk about the Olympics. The reason why I said, why are we talking about this before we went to break, I'm going to tell you why right now. Because you and I, Justin, have said, and even Dane when you were there, we were recording live one time at Sports Center, Bar and Grill here in Sault Ste. Marie. I was saying how I'm not going to be watching the Olympics. But we're going to leave that for the end, because I know it's on our point to talk about. Is they're going to be one of the least watched Olympics. We'll get to that in a second. But we're going to go to the Olympic roster. Okay? So, with the Canada roster, we have some former OHLers. We have some guys who I sort of really have not really heard of before. But I'm going to go from the bottom to the top very quickly.
There's not any one player on there that's a bad hockey player.
No. No. Definitely better than the United States roster, in my opinion. Sorry to say to my U.S. listeners out there, but we're going to get to the U.S. roster in a moment as well. We're going to start with the forwards of Team Canada as well. We're going to talk about the forwards, the D, the goaltending. We'll talk about the Olympics a little bit before we take our next break, before we come back and talk about professional sports, because now we're getting into the professional part of the program right now. We talked about our local roundup. Forwards, Rene Bourque. We all know that name. Gilbert Brulé. We know that name. Andrew Ebert. Quentin Howden. Chris Kelly, Rob Klinghammer, Brandon Kozun, former Leaf, Maxim Lapierre, Eric Odell, Mason Raymond, there's another former Leaf, Derek Roy, Christian Thomas, Lyndon Fay, and Woltok Wolski are the forwards.
So one thing I have to say about Derek Roy is I think in the past, I believe he's been at Team Canada camps.
He has been.
And hasn't made the team.
No.
So I think for him, this is a big deal for him. And as much as a lot of people want to discount this, these are still professional grade hockey players going to play hockey. They've never had a shot to play for their country, or they just haven't at this level.
They weren't good enough to get there. And I saw projections of what the Team Canada roster might have been if the NHLers were there, and let me tell you, it probably would have been the best Olympic team that we've ever seen. But I'm not going to shoot these guys down, Dane. I'm going to let you jump in here. What do you think of the forwards before we list off the D? What do you Is there any names that are missed? Because I got a couple of names that definitely have come to mind. Jerome McGinley. There's a guy who's not on this roster who's retired. Shane Doan, who is retired. There's guys that are not on this roster that maybe I think should have been. But Matt D'Agostini, there's another guy, Sue Boy there, that I think could have had a chance over this team. Dane, what do you think of the forwards?
You know what? I actually like the forward lineup. A lot of these guys I still think have a lot to give. Derek Roy, he's a little bit older, but other than that, speaking to Jerome McGinley and Shane Doan, I believe they were asked to come, but decided not to join the party. So, but yeah, no, you got to look up and down the lineup. Like Mason Raymond, I think, lots of speed on the team. You got guys like, Gilbert Brulé, Mason Raymond, speed guys. Derek Roy, I think, is definitely going to bring a lot of leadership to the team. I would put the C on Derek Roy if I had a choice. Even Chris Kelly, I think was in the league last year, as far as I know. Yeah, great defensively. Can really help out on the PK. The one thing I do want to say about the Olympics, I think it's kind of funny that Russia won't be able to have a team there. And if you look, the KHL, if any team was going to be the favorite this year without having the NHL athletes, you would think it would be Russia this year, but no. So yeah, it should be interesting. It is a disappointment that the Olympics committee and the NHL couldn't come to an agreement financially on being able to get the players to go over there. But you know what? I think it'll still be fun, and I'm going to watch.
I'm going to ask you both a question. When was the last time that professional players were not in the Olympics? You know this answer?
Yeah, I do. Because I was old enough to remember. 1994. Because I remember in 1998, when they had the first Olympics with the NHL players, man, I was in grade 7. Like, that was stuff was off the chains. Like, Nagano Olympics for Nintendo 64 came out. We had tournaments in the library. Watched Wayne Gretzky and Lemieux on a team.
And you know,
Banana sandwich, man. Like, that only happens in stories or my childhood. Sorry, everybody.
well, you're not that much. Yeah, you are a little bit older than I am.
Look at his hairline.
This-
It's like rings on a tree.
And you know what? Wayne Gretzky, speaking of that, didn't shoot in that shootout. And I have a story to tell you when we get off air in terms of having dinner with Walter Gretzky. We told me why he didn't shoot. And listeners, if you want to know what that answer is, shoot a message or a call, because I know the reason why Wayne Gretzky did not shoot in that shootout. But, Dane, I'm going to tell you right now, these guys, we have former first-round picks on this team. I can tell you right now a couple off the top of my head. Brule, Howden, Mason Raymond. There's a couple guys that are former first-round picks. Christian Thomas. Derek Roy is also another one. Steve Thomas's son. This team, like you said, Dane, very fast. And in 1980, when the Miracle on Ice, when the USA wins, that's when they started to introduce more of amateur athletes into the Olympic Games. And this is the first time since around that area that we're seeing amateur athletes. I don't want to say they're not amateurs, because these are former pros, but they're not in the pros. We have some AHLers. We have some KHL, SHLers too. Obviously no NHLers, but the biggest thing...
They're just not in the NHL.
They're not in the NHL, but they're still good hockey players. So, yes, I got to say, are you going to be watching this Olympics? Yes, of course I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be watching all the Olympic events. Okay, I'm going to watch the hockey. I'm going to really like to watch... I'm going to watch the snowboarding. I'm gonna watch everything when it comes to the Olympics.
I'm really annoying, and I watch curling.
Oh, go Jacobs.
Well, they're not in it this year.
No, they're not, but still go Jacobs.
But, I mean, like, the Olympic curling, man, that's some high-end curling.
It's some good curling. It is. Dave, I'm going to go to you here. I know you got a couple things you want to add. Before you do that, I just want to list off the defense and goaltenders first. Defense, you got Stephon Elliott. Che Chenoweth. I don't know who this guy is. This is definitely a guy I don't recall. Cody Kolobuff. Sorry if I'm butchering last names. Marc-Andre Gregoriani. I know he played on Buffalo before. Chris Lee. Maxim Noru. Matt Robinson. Carl Stollery. Then in nets. Oh, look, they got the professor in net. Former Leaf and Oiler at itself. Ben Scrivens. Kevin Poulin. And Justin Peters. Former Carolina Hurricane.
Peters also a Leaf at one point.
He may have been in the organization. No, I remember him from Carolina the most. And Kevin Poulin, former Islander.
Ben Scrivens will hold it down. I really liked him when he was in Toronto. Like, I feel like he's an excellent locker room personality.
He's definitely the go-to guy. He's the number one guy. But Dane, over to you in terms of some additional comments. We don't see our usual guys on this roster, but definitely going to be an exciting team and tournament overall. I maybe try their best to make it exciting.
Well, yeah, you got to think that the States and Canada are going to be the most affected by not having the NHL players going. Because if you look at any other year, every other European team has a couple, players on their team that don't play in the NHL, so they're still going to have those guys. I do want to say a couple of things about my boy Ben Scrivens. I'll never forget the 59-game shutout he had against the LA Kings for the Oilers in the real bad times, even though we're back in the bad times. And throwing the jersey back into the stands after they threw one on the ice there, I think might have been a little bit of a turning point in the Edmonton Oilers franchise there. Yeah, to speak beyond that, I think not having the NHL players there is going to hurt the Olympics this year with audiences watching in. It depends. Are you a hockey fan or are you an NHL fan kind of thing? I'm a hockey fan. I'm still going to be watching the game. And on top of that, if there's no hockey on with NHL players, maybe you're just not going to be, browsing the channels and seeing what else is on kind of thing. So not only is the hockey, which is, the main show of the Winter Olympics, if that's not on, maybe not only are you losing interest in the hockey, but you might just lose interest in the Olympics completely, right? Because, the main thing you want to watch is, hockey, and now we don't have the NHL going. So I think this is going to be the last time the Olympics is going to not try to work out a deal with the NHL. Time will tell. We'll see what the ratings are and stuff like that. But I do totally believe, I think they will be down.
It's going to be interesting. I know some of the owners are probably excited, because especially for Garth Snow, because you're not going to be missing John Tavares for the stretch run either. Remember what happened in the last Olympics with John Tavares getting hurt. We know if we had Austin Matthews playing for the USA, and if he got hurt, I know exactly what I'd be saying on the radio the following day after that. So I get why there's a lot of stipulation when it comes to that, but they're still the best athletes in the world. But these are still some good athletes to watch. And a roster I want to name here quick before we go off, because obviously we got a lot of American listeners as well. We can't just talk all about Canada. United States. This is just going down the list alphabetically. You got Mark Arcabello, Chad Billins, Jonathan Bloom, Will Borgen, Chris Bork, Bobby Butler, a name that I know pretty well with Ottawa, Ryan Donato, Brian Giunta, who is actually the captain of the team. Yes, and Matt Gilroy, Jordan Greenway, Ryan Gunderson, Chad Kolarek, David Leggio, former Coyote, Brock Little, Brandon Maxwell, John McCarthy, Brian O'Neill, Garrett Rowe, Bobby Sanginetti, Jim Slater, Ryan Stoy, Tori Terry, wow, that's a tongue twister, Noah Welsh, James Wisniewski, and goaltender Ryan Zapolowski. Definitely some names that are new to me on this list. A lot of KHLers, and look at this, NCAA, and that's where NCAA. What I say?
You said W.
Oh wow! No, there's no wrestling. It's the NCAA, and there's a lot of Canadians that had the eligibility to go over to play from the World Junior team, but didn't.
Didn't they call you?
No, they did not call me. I must have not doing that well with the Iceman this year.
Phone number.
That's exactly it. It's under Boston Pizza, 705 BP Pizza. But at the end of the day, this is a team that's going to be. I'm actually pretty excited to see what the USA can put on the ice, especially having a lot of the young kids out there, especially with Ryan Donato from Harvard University. There's some names out there that's going to make the name for themselves. And maybe some guys that are on this list right now that are going to work hard and have a chance to maybe crack an NHL roster by the NHL deadline.
To me, I think this is going to be a real barn burner of a tournament. But I get excited for the Spengler Cup every year because it's just a fun tournament to watch. It's a gigantic ice. There are these guys that are just out there to have fun and play hockey.
Yeah,
and that's maybe what you need right now. Just have some people having fun, playing a sport. Because that's what the Olympics is about too. It's about sports. It's not about money. It's just about sports. That's
pure sports. Dave?
Well, and I think the one thing is it's intriguing because who's really the favorite in this tournament? The Canada ain't the top dog. Not in my opinion. I haven't looked at the other teams' rosters, but I think there's a lot of teams that could win gold this year, and it's not just the top four dogs: Sweden, U.S., Russia, Canada. I think maybe some of those other teams definitely have a chance. Finland's up there too. Don't get me wrong, but
the last couple years, for 12, 15, 16 years now, Team Kazakhstan's been getting hammered by Sidney Crosby and the boys. And now the same Team Kazakhstan with, I was going to say minus Nick Antropov, but I'm pretty sure Nick Antropov is not in the NHL, so he might be playing for Team Kazakhstan. That's the same team that was getting hammered by NHL players is going to be showing up. Maybe they're the wild card.
There's a lot of teams that definitely to watch out for when I've read it on different rosters. We won't get into that, but Sweden and Finland, those are two teams that are going to are going to ice a very fast hockey team. I'm excited to see how U.S. and Canada match up to them going into the Olympics.
The league's not a bad league either, so I think they're going to be getting a lot of guys from there too.
No, for sure. But at the end of the day, question is before we go to break, guys, are you still watching the Olympics, Justin?
100%.
Me too. Dane?
Oh, absolutely.
We're going to take a quick break here, fellas. We're live here at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie, Dave McCaig alongside Justin Hykel and Dane Hancherow. We're going to take a break. When we come back, it's our final part of the show. Whizzing by the show, fellas. When we come back, we're going to be talking about NHL All-Stars. We're going to be talking about other NHL news, potential topics that Dane and Justin have brought to the table. And then we're going to talk about Maple Leaf discussion, where Justin and I will probably mostly spearhead that. I know there's a topic that Dane would probably like to jump in on that with Morgan Riley, definitely when we come back from the break. We also got the multiple choice segment, the famous multiple choice segment. Don't touch that dial. Dane, Justin, and I will be right back.
The Mr. Electric Avenue segment would also like to thank its additional sponsors. The Salon, located on 587 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Guglietta. The Salon, making the Soo beautiful, one haircut at a time. Also, special thanks to the Soo Pee Wee Pro Shop, located in the Soo Pee Wee Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Soo Pro Shop for over 40 years, meeting all your skate sharpening needs, repairs, and hockey needs.
Welcome back to the Game Sports Show. It's yours truly, David McCaig, a.k.a. The Kegger, Mr. Electric Avenue, alongside Justin Hykel Dane Hancherow. Live here at Boston Pizza, Sault Ste. Marie. And great service here at Boston Pizza. We just demolished the spicy pierogi pizza. We've had 2 pitchers of Molson products. Mitch and Aaron have been great to us here. And you know what? Second show of 2018, fellas. God, it feels good to have multiple shows in a week. And you know what? Thank you, the listeners out there as well, for tuning in week by week. We know this week we had quite the record-breaking results, and we're quite thankful for that. Going forward, we're going to bring forth you many special guests and much local sports as requested as well with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds. Excited to see what the rest this year can bring. And Boston Pizza coming on as a sponsorship, of course, is always a big prize in itself. But fellas, we've had quite the show so far talking about local sports in terms of the Thunderbirds, Eagles, Beavers, Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds and their trade, and they're trending upwards, continuously trending upwards. Fans finally getting their butts in the seats, but hopefully get a bit louder. We've also talked about the Olympic roster, give a suggestion. Now we're at the final part of our show, which is sad, because I wish we could talk all night. Well, me, I could talk all night. You know that, Dan. I think I'd certainly talk about this. That's probably why I lost my voice. But we're going to talk about the NHL All-Stars right now, selections. We're going to talk about a little bit of NHL news and Maple Leaf discussion before we do our multiple choice segment, and then conclude the show as I have a hockey game in less than 25 minutes to attend to. So I should have. Imagine rolling around out there with my helmet on and the stoplights.
In the truck?
Yeah, my equipment's out there.
That sucks.
Oh, I know. I should maybe get a
It's not last week.
Oh, I'd be minus 50. Oh, it'd be freezing. Fellas, NHL rosters. You guys can look at the rosters online. You know, there's in the Atlantic Division, I'll go through them quickly. Atlantic Division, you got Alexander Barkov, Jack Eichel, Nikita Kucherov, Brad Marchand, Austin Matthews, Steven Stamkos, Mike Green, Victor Hedman, Erik Karlsson, Carey Price, Andrei Vasilevsky. In the Metropolitans, your representatives are Josh Bailey, Sidney Crosby, Claude Giroux, Taylor Hall, Alex Ovechkin, John Tavares, Noah Hannafin, Seth Jones, Chris Letang, Braden Holtby, and Henrik Lundqvist. I give a little bit of emphasis on the Chris Letang. Central Division, Patrick Kane, Nathan McKinnon, Braden Shen, Taylor Sagan, Eric Stahl. I still have a surprise question mark beside that. Blake Wheeler, John Klingberg, Alex Pietrangelo, PK Subban, Connor Hellebuck, who's having a great year for the Jets. Pekka Rinne. Now the Pacific Division, you got Brock Besser, obviously. Johnny Gaudreau, Andrei Kopitar, somebody named Connor McDavid or McJesus, whatever you want to refer to him as. James Neal, Ricard Raquel, Brent Burns, Drew Doughty, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, Marc-Andre Fleury, Jonathan Quick. And the coaches going up from there, Gerard Gallant from Vegas, Peter Laviolette from Nashville. You got Barry Trotz from Washington, and you got John Cooper from Tampa Bay.
The last team is filthy.
It's definitely a very good team with the Pacific Division. A very good team.
That team's disgusting. Like, that's gross. That's absolutely gross.
Gaudreau and McDavid might be looking good on that 3-on-3 circumstance. Don't you think, Dan? Even though it's a Calgary and Edmonton guy going at it, pretty good to watch.
Oh, they look good together last year. I wouldn't mind seeing McDavid maybe play with a guy like Brock Besser, you know?
Are you going to trade for him?
I do not see that happen.
I'm just kidding.
What about your boy James Neal down there?
I think it might be too little too late for Edmonton to be making a splash like that in the where they're sitting in the standings. They'd have to give up a lot to get James Neal. And you know what? Like, is Vegas really chasing Neal at this point, being second in the NHL? I think that was probably their plan all along, and now they're like, well, we're second in the NHL. Let's go on a little playoff run. They're buyers, not sellers, I think, at this point.
Absolutely. And you know what? With this all-star roster, guys, we're going to jump into that before we jump into more of the NHL news. But what do you think of the roster? You know, we got about 10 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes to play with here a little bit. What do you make of these selections, Justin?
Kessel was robbed. Big time. Kessel got...
When isn't he robbed?
Like, why is Crosby there? Crosby's like... Crosby's Crosby, and he comes with the aura that is Sidney Crosby. But Kessel's the man. Like,
not a fan favorite, obviously.
I'm a big fan of Phil Kessel. Everyone knows that I have a man crush on Phil Kessel. But he's off the chains again this year. He's probably one of the better players on the team. He's better than Crosby this year. He's 100% better than Crosby this year. And Letang? come on. I don't know. I think there's guys that, might not have a chance to be an all-star ever again. Guys that are having a season that's above average for them, so they might not ever have a chance to be an all-star, and they took the name instead of the player. You know what I mean? In my head, for some of these guys, like Kessel over Crosby, like it's superstar versus Crosby. You know what I mean? Like Crosby's 1A, but Kessel's like 1C, so we'll take 1A.
I'm not going to lie. I'm going to say before I go over to you, Dane, to kind of conclude the NHL All-Star rosters topic. I know you said the Pacific Division, but I'm really liking the Atlantic. You got Barkov, and I'm not being biased here. I promise you this. Barkov, Eichel, Kucherov, Marchand, Matthews, Stammer. You got Stammer and Kucherov, number one, first off together. They're absolutely like peanut butter and jelly out there. Mike Green, who's going to be a very sought-after defenseman in the trade market this year. You have Victor Hedman, Erik Karlsson, Carey Price, and Vasilevsky, two of the best goaltenders in the league right now. I'm liking the Atlantic. I'm picking the Atlantic to win against the Pacific. But I like this team in terms of speed. You got Kucherov and Marchand on there. I like that roster pick. I know you were kind of thinking about Frederik Andersen. I don't know if we could pick him over Price and Vasilevsky the years that they're having because it's only two goalies. But
take him over Price because Anderson's played the full season so far.
Good point.
The end. But
good point.
Montreal had to try and win something. Their fans had to pull that off and get Carey Price in the All-Star game.
They had to get somebody out there, but Montreal's not having the best of all years. But Dave, what do you think of the rosters? I'm just going to tell you, I agree with them actually. I don't, but it's coming like we're going to get to here. I know you're going to say this. I want to save you for this comment, but popularity contest commence.
Oh, yeah, like the fans are voting. So you know what? And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think, if you want to see that certain player that's, on your team, you get the fans to vote for it. It's not where, the best players of that, of the year get to go to the All-Star game anymore. You know what? And don't get me wrong, did John Scott deserve to be at that All-Star game? No, but was that not the best All-Star game I've ever watched in my life? Hands down it was. Not even close. So you know what? It's a little bit of give and take with the All-Star game, and I don't really look too much into it. I think, that's why you have a award ceremony at the end of the year, and you have your first, All-Star team kind of thing and all that. So I wouldn't look too much into it. Looking at the rosters, though, they look all pretty solid. I think Taylor, my former boy, Taylor Hall there is on a 2-game winning streak for the past 2 years with the 3-on-3 there. So, and you know what? I think making the All-Star game 3-on-3 makes it a lot more exciting. It was pretty much, unbearable to watch beforehand. So, no, I like it.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think, still exciting as, at the end of the day, it's still the All-Star game, and just like the Olympics, we're probably going to watch it anyhow. Now, fellas, I said I had 2 topics for you guys to talk about. Justin, I think I know what yours is going to be. That's why I'm going to go to you. We have 2 minutes for yours, a couple minutes for yours before we jump into the Leafs for a couple minutes, then our multiple choice segment before we close out our show. Justin, what was the topic of the NHL that you want to bring to the table? Give me your topic, Justin.
Well, I think to go to the San Jose player complaints out in Winnipeg, like Paul Maurice says, it nails it right on the head. Like, you guys are playing in the NHL every day. You get to get up every day, go to the rink, have a practice skate, go play hockey at night, make a couple bucks. Terrible. You got to go to Winnipeg and play a game of hockey. Guess what? I got to get up at 6 every morning, drink some garbage coffee that I made half asleep at my house.
4 a.m. for me.
Then go to Tim Hortons, try not to punch someone out in the drive-thru because it takes forever. It could be worse. It could, I'm not saying my life's bad. Other people have it way worse than I do. Yeah. But, you just got to take a look at the audience you're complaining to. Say that in the locker room. Don't say that in the public.
Don't say that in the public, period. Winnipeg is dark. It's cold. Like Maurice said, it's Canada. Yeah. It's Canada. It's cold. But every city they play in is beautiful.
If you're playing in the NHL, you've been to Canada once.
Probably from Canada. 50% chance you're from Canada.
You understand that it's dark and snowy here in the winter when there's ice, when you can play hockey. So, yeah, I don't know. I just don't really see where there's an issue here. I think that's a real case of some California babies there. Yeah,
I like that topic. And you know what? A friend of the show, Paul Maurice, something we got to definitely ask him when he comes on. Gave the Paul Maurice-esque answer. So blunt and 5-worded. It's cold. It's dark. But it's beautiful. Love it. Love the answer.
I don't even know what a frappuccino is.
That is the funniest part of it. He didn't know what a frappuccino was. Yeah, we don't do that. California listeners, yeah, frappuccinos are not really a thing. It's called lattes. And they're full of whipped cream and chocolate, and it's just really warm above temperature. That's what I know. That's all I know what a latte is. But Dane, jumping over to you for your topic.
Well, I definitely can't speak of frappuccinos and lattes, not my thing. But the one thing I want to bring up is the offside call against my Edmonton Oilers a couple days ago against Nashville. Lost the game 2-1 late in the third period. We looked like we tied up the game there, and the Nashville Predators challenged the play there. They went upstairs and deemed it that it was no goal due to Kerr having his foot off the skate, which looked like maybe it was about two millimeters off the ice. I could barely tell from the camera angle, so we ultimately lost the game 2-1. But I look back to last year, and we can really look at this game, us losing a division title because of it, where Victor Arvidsson literally was standing on the blue line and jumped, and they still allowed the goal to be a goal there. So the NHL really needs to do something about this offside challenge here, because it was night and day the call. If I look to last year, Victor Arvidsson's jumping literally a foot off the ice was clearly shouldn't have been a goal by what the rule book goes. And then you look at this play where it almost looks like the toe of his skate's still on the ice there, Kara. So, you know what? I don't agree with that. I know that's something, during the spring meetings there, the summer meetings, that they're going to have to, they're going to have to mitigate that issue, because that's just, it can't happen like that. Like, if you look at both plays, it makes no sense. There's no consistency in it. And, so that's my little thing I wanted to talk about today.
I like that. I think I threw you both off with a random topic. I like doing that. We'll do that weekly, get your random topics on the table. It's not always good when there's topics that we kind of discuss. Always good to have some random ones out there. And Dane, I'm going to say with yours, it's much like our shootout talk. There's a lot of things that are going to be brought to the table this year to try to bring forth more excitement and continue to change the game for no reason from before. I think everything was fine before, like Scott said. But, hey, we're just one piece of the pie.
I'm one of those guys that thinks the less the rules, the better the game.
Street rules. Yeah.
Street rules, man. It's just less complicated.
No, for sure. Justin, you and I are going to talk about the Leafs here quick before we do our multiple choice segment, where we have 3 questions that we're just going to answer tonight. Leafs, quickly, couple minutes about the Leafs here. They lost last night to the Ottawa Senators within a 4-minute mark. They blew another loss in the final minute of a game where they had somebody else, they're up 2-0 and they blow a lead. Yeah, remember that? Yeah. I'm purposely being an idiot right now because third period collapses in the third period in the last 5 minutes are things that I thought were in 2013. Last couple games, the Leafs cannot close it out in the final 5 minutes of the game to either get into overtime or to win the game or anything.
I feel if you watched Babcock's press conference after the game last night, that's a lot less alarming than you'd think it is right now. There were 2 really bad mistakes on plays where players had about a 50-50 shot of getting it right.
They said, screw it.
Well, you roll the dice, man. And that's how it is in sports sometimes. Sometimes you roll the dice and you're the hero. Sometimes you roll the dice and you're the bum. I'd rather them get those, the bad dice rolls out right now. Hainsey had a bad one where he pinched, and Riley had a bad one where he pinched.
Yeah, and Riley, and we're going to talk about this in 2 seconds here. Well, not 2 seconds. Let me be exact here. A minute. Yes, Morgan Riley got the tying goal. Had a decent game. Played a lot of minutes. He played just as many minutes as Erik Karlsson. And no, Dane, I'm not saying he's Erik Karlsson.
He played almost 27 minutes last night.
He played a lot of minutes. Mike Babcock is really relying on Morgan Riley. And we've said this every show, defense. That's starting to really show there. But we're not going to jump to that topic because it's a thing that we talk about lots here. What we're talking about is the game where they kind of let their foot off the gas and kind of a little sluggish right now. They have to get back to their ways. Travis Dermott, though, is a good fit back there. He truly is. A good fit back there.
No, he looks like he's going to be an NHL defenseman back there.
Top 5 for sure.
He looked comfortable in the top 4.
Play with Jake Gardner, who I feel they could definitely make different moves instead of having Jake Gardner in your top 4. But end of the day,
Hey, you know, you're Gardner, and I thought about this last night watching them with 6 guys on the ice. Jake Gardner does something for that team when they need to be when they're in panic mode. Jake Gardner is the man on that team. I agree. Like, he goes out there and he just throws it down like Tom Brady does. Like, it's just I've watched it for so many years now. Like, he's next level when he's out there. He's not next level all the time, but there's points in the game when he needs to be. He can be the best player on the ice.
he's very offensive minded. He needs a defenseman with him, a defensive defenseman with him. Is Zaitsev that guy? Maybe. But, you know, there's Eric Gabranson, who's available with Toronto, has been heavily rumored for. Would be a good fit, but like I said, we're not going to jump into that. Yeah, I see your point.
There's just something I don't want to say magical, but I'm
playoffs. He's magical. Playoffs, he does very well in.
Like when Gardner's out there, and like with Bozak and Van Riemsdyk, and then Marner last night, and then Matthews came on the ice with this look on his face, like, "Oh no, you didn't!" Like, come on, man. Like if you're, I don't know. I was really into it. I might have got really into it again right there, but
definitely one of those losses though they want to try to definitely make up for. It's definitely a loss I didn't think that they would have occur, to be totally honest. I thought it would be a game if they can win it against a depleted Ottawa team that's losing a whole whack of confidence right now.
In January for us so far has been junk too.
St. Louis next.
Like we've been off, I think.
Off until Tuesday.
We played last Saturday, but the Saturday before we didn't play, I don't think. And then we're off again this Saturday. So we've had a couple spurts where we've been off for 4 days. You're just not going to get a good look at a team unless you're playing consistently. When you're off for 4 and then you play 2 and then you're off for 4 and then you play 2 and then you're off for 5.
Doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't. And Dane, the next thing we're going to jump towards for the Leafs here before we jump to our multiple choice segment to close out the show. I talked about this with you on the way here. Morgan Rielly, as per Sportsnet, had a headline saying how he would be on the top 4 if the Canada had an Olympic team, ahead of Alex Pietrangelo and PK Subban, and that he also should be and is in the Norris conversation. I'm just going to say quick, I'm a Morgan Rielly fan, a big fan. He's a great defenseman. But when you say Norris, there's guys that are put ahead of him for that, in my opinion. Even with the Olympic team, I can see him as an extra. I don't think he'd play ahead of Pietrangelo or Subban by any chance. But, Dane, what are your thoughts about Morgan Rielly being in the Norris conversation alongside Doughty, Carlson? I'm forgetting names at the top of my head right now. I don't know why. Yeah, just 1,000 names in my head. But, Dane?
All right, well, I want to speak about the Olympic team thing, first of all. Just because, PK Subban and Alex Pietrangelo don't play in Toronto, that automatically, to Sportsnet doesn't make them as good of a player there, with the bias reporting that they have. But beyond that, I will say that, Morgan Rielly is, probably the MVP of the team defensively, most valuable defensively to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Does that make him a candidate for the Norris Trophy? I don't know, maybe if you're going to bring in 15 other defensemen in the league, yeah, maybe he's in the mix then. But, you got to look at a guy like John Klingberg playing in Dallas right now. The guy has, I think he's plus 12 right now. He's leading the NHL in points for defensemen. A couple other guys. John Carlson's having a really good year in Washington. My boy, Victor Hedman, I think is an absolute stud. And in Tampa right now, they're first place in the league. The guy's plus 24 or something right now. He's definitely my pick, above and beyond anybody else in the league for the Norris right now. The guy has really developed his game in the last 3 or 4 years. I got nothing against Morgan Rielly. I think there's, probably at least, 6, 7, 8, maybe even 10 guys that might be in front of him that you want to talk about. But, Alex Pietrangelo, And the PK Subban thing, yeah, definitely bugs me a little bit. And you know what? Don't get me wrong. Do I not think, maybe there's a chance that Morgan Riley could make the Olympic roster? Absolutely. But if you're going to put him in front of Pietrangelo and PK Subban, well, I hope you're not the general manager of the Canada hockey team there. So, yeah, that's my point on that.
I like that, Dane, and a good way to end kind of the Leaf talk there. It's Leafs got to get back to the winning ways. Morgan Riley, you're a good defenseman. I don't know if you're in the Norris conversation yet, but hopefully one day. I do actually peg you to be wearing that C right now. I still don't know why I choose you over Austin Matthews, but you've been there the longest. Not now, but he's been there since he was 18.
Yeah, but you just can't. I don't know. You gotta. He's not the captain yet. It's just not.
I'm going to give you a fun question on the multiple choice to see your answer with it. We're going to get to that right now, actually. Multiple choice. 3 questions. Here are the questions. Question 1. Who will win the Olympics? I know we haven't fully observed and dissected videos of players that we don't know about, but let's have a little fun with it. Option 1, Canada. Option 2, United States. Option 3, Sweden. Option 4, Finland. Dane, I'll go to you first, pal. Who do you got?
I'm going to go pick Sweden. I do think, Canada and the States will be up there, but I'm going to go with Sweden because I think they have a bit of a bigger pool to pick from, being that the NHL is not available for the Olympics and, having the Swedish Elite League. I'm sure they have a couple guys in the Russian League there too. So I just think they have maybe a couple more players that are available that, are probably good enough to play in the NHL, but choose to play overseas in Europe back home. So I'll go off the board a little bit. Sweden. I think Canada will be up there too, but yeah, Sweden.
I like that. Dane, I'll say quickly. Good answer. I'd feel bad if I didn't. I'm going to say Canada. Be my pick. I just feel like the speed. I feel like they're going to surprise people. Justin, I know you had a wild card answer. That's why we're saving you last.
So I'm going off the board here, and I'm taking Team Latvia. Last Olympics, they almost ran the table a little bit. Had Ted Nolan coaching the team. They got all close. They didn't really lose anyone to the NHL. You know what I mean? That's an experienced squad right there.
You elected, you're off the board. If you had to pick from one of the 4, what are you picking?
Then I have to take Canada.
Okay, good answer. I like that. Like that answer. Question 2, guys. Missions from the NHL All-Star Game. Which one upsets you the most? Justin, I know you got. I'm going to go to you first. That's why.
I have the same one as Justin.
A, Phil Kessel. B, Jamie Benn. C, Valimir Tarasenko. Or D, Jonathan Marchessault from Vegas. Justin, I know what your answer is. Just say it.
Well, you know what? Okay, it is Phil Kessel, but Marchessault is pretty lame too, to be honest. Everyone knows how I feel about Phil Kessel. I've already went on that rant. But Marchessault deserves to be there now, especially because it's taken me so long to learn to pronounce his name.
I'm going to go with Valimir Tarasenko. Would be my answer. I just feel St. Louis had a good year. I kind of like what Tarasenko would have brought. So that's my answer. Dane, what be you?
Yeah, I agree with Justin on both with the Vegas and the Phil thing there. I know Crosby was interviewed today or yesterday and basically just went out and said that he felt Phil should have been there over him, which I think speaks to a lot of Sidney Crosby's character. I know he gets a bad rap sometimes, but yeah, Phil the Thrill. Like, who doesn't want him at the All-Star game? The guy's a beauty, so, a little disappointed that he won't be there.
The last question, fellas. If the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Dane, don't fall out of your chair, win the Stanley Cup this year, if they win the Cup, who gets the Cup? A, Morgan Riley. B, Austin Matthews. C, Leo Komarov. Or D, Patrick Marleau. Dane, I know you're going to love answering this question. Just give an answer.
Yeah, I'm going to go off the board, and the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to trade for Phil Kessel, bring him back, go on a cup run there, win it, and he's going to raise the cup first. But no, honestly, I think Ron Hainsey or Patrick Marleau have to be the two guys there that raise the cup first without having a actual captain right now.
Good answer. Hike?
See, I kind of want to go off the board a little bit, too. I mean, I really appreciate Dane's answer and saying that Phil Kessel might come back and win the cup. But I honestly think that either Bozak or Van Riemsdyk is probably the guy. They've been there. They've been through the garbage. Like, I'd like to see one of the senior guys get it, like Marlowe or Ron Hainsey, but like Bozak's been there since. He's been there through everything. He's like that pair of socks you just don't get rid of. You know, that's.
I like to pick.
Phil's buddy there.
I'm gonna go and say Patrick Marleau. I'm gonna go with the obvious answer. I feel with Patrick Marleau being a veteran, being there a bunch of times, I think he would be the guy to go pick up the Stanley Cup. I think Babcock would give him the tap, and I think it's just a good fit for him to possibly go get the Stanley Cup. So I'm going to go that route and say Patrick Marleau. I do like the joke with Phil Kessel getting traded back to Toronto.
Philadelphia, sorry, Pittsburgh, kind of falling out of the playoff race. You're not falling out of it, but, kind of hovering on that line right there. Maybe they deal Phil back to Toronto.
Yeah, lots of cap.
We'll just trade him, capping him back, and they can pay part of Phil's salary too. And
there we go. Then we're laughing. Guys, that's been the show this week. I got a men's league game to make that I have 7 minutes to get to tops.
3 minutes.
7 in my world. When we come back here, though, next week, we plan to have some guests next week. I know we've been talking about Joey Miller, Jamie Henderson, possibly coming on, Boris Kachuk and Taylor Radish coming on. We got a lot of different guests that are possibly coming on next week, so stay tuned in regards to that. We got an action-packed show next week for sure. Don't forget, Monday, it's 95.1, 6 p.m. The game starts back up live. Wednesday, we are back at Sports Center Bar and Grill at 9 o'clock. And obviously, next Thursday, we are here at 9 o'clock at Boston Pizza to do our hockey and / baseball segment. But it's just going to be hockey, obviously, until baseball season starts up. So don't forget to tune in with that. And look at our website. It's still under construction, but www.thegamesportshow.com. You can subscribe to it and look into it now. Got myself on Twitter at DavidJR McCaig. Or you got me on Instagram, David McCaig Jr. You got Hykel on Instagram and Facebook. You got Dane on Facebook and Instagram, and myself. Don't be shy to reach out to us and ask us questions. I want to thank Mitch Wilson, the great waiter that we've had tonight, Boston Pizza manager Aaron Grisdak, a great host as always, and Boston Pizza for being a sponsor of the Game Sports Show. Got to thank Sports Center Bar and Grill as well, Pingator Cleaners, The Wicked Sister, Discover the Canvas, Soupy We Pro Shop, North Shore Sports Store and Auto, and The Salon for their sponsorships as well on the Game Sports Show. And we're going to be back here next week at Boston Pizza. And like I said, next week is all 3 shows are back. It's going to be quite exciting. And don't forget, next week we're going to be starting our trivia where we're going to be handing out Boston Pizza gift cards and other prizes for when you answer questions as well. So, Justin, thanks for coming.
No problem.
As always, Daner.
Yeah, thanks for having me, David.
Until next week, fellas, I'm going to say farewell, and thanks to you, our listeners, for tuning in. It's been a great night here at Boston Pizza. On behalf of the Game Sports Show, Scott Nason as well, our amazing board operator. To all out there, have a great night.